that. So I just sold it privately. I was like, forget that. It's like, hey, just come by, Zelle, boom.
Did the Facebook Marketplace used to not collect taxes?
Well, it used to be like a private person-to-person sale. Like if I say, hey, Amit, do you want to buy this hard drive? And you're like, yeah. I was like, oh, $100, it's yours. And you give me $100 and I give you the hard drive. Now it's like they want $40 out of the $100 for selling this thing.
Interesting. Well, at least you sold it. How was your guys' weekend? Anything interesting happen?
I'm looking at our outfits today. We're not matched up.
We're not matching at all.
I was gonna wear a green shirt today. Now I grabbed the shirt and I'm like, oh man, is someone gonna wear gray today? They coordinate our outfits. Weekend. How was the weekend? I had Saturday off, and then I actually got called in on Sunday. That's why I texted you guys. I got called in, which was great. I got an amazing assignment that I never get because I'm never on that team. And it's good. It's like overall, it's really good for the career. I'm getting on the radar of the right people.
Okay, that's very cool. Yeah, I couldn't make it Sunday either. That's why we didn't do it yesterday. VITALY and KRIS didn't see that message until like 6:50. So
what message?
What message about him? Because me and Carlos, we canceled at like 12 p.m.
Oh yeah. I was actually setting up the laptop, getting ready. I left a good movie watching The Money Pit. Have you ever seen The Money Pit? Of course you haven't, Amit.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's
Can
Tom
we
Hanks.
talk about this Cameo thing that happened?
Well, hold on. Tom Hanks buys a house. Everybody should watch this with his girlfriend, and it just turns into like just the worst things happen in the house, falling apart. He spends so much money, and it's Tom Hanks. You know the comedian guy.
Yes, that's gonna be good.
So it's just hilarious, and I was showing the kids. This is what happens when you buy houses. I brought out my inner KRIS.
Okay, so over the weekend, some dude paid on Cameo, which is a website you can get celebrities to pay to give you shout out.
Oh yeah, right. That's cool.
And
you want to play it? That's a good one.
I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna pull it up. I have no idea who this person is.
It's Dave the Amazing. I guess he's amazing.
It's the same guy that does the $27 chats.
No, it's not the same guy.
No, it has to be that guy. I think it's that guy.
It's the same guy that does
the same guy.
Yeah, same guy.
Oh, all right. Maybe he's watching right now. You can tell us if he's the same guy.
I'm guessing over or under. What do you guys think he paid for that?
Oh, no, I know. It's around $100 to $200. I looked at it.
Well, I thought it was more, Dave.
Bro, this Dave dude has money.
There you go, Dave.
There we go. 13. All right.
Oh my goodness. Did he? Spoiler alert. Today's episode of Finance Junkies will feature a lot of references to Amit's favorite movie, Revenge of the Nerds. Okay.
Did you watch that movie after we spoke about it?
I have not seen that movie.
Amit, you should.
I have to watch more movies, bro. I'm so bad. KRIS, where are you at?
Somewhere
right here, dude. Ocean. Dude, I'm in the Atlantic Ocean right now. Can you believe
That's
that?
awesome.
This is streaming through the Starlink, which is kind of crazy if you think about it.
It's better than Amit's internet.
You gotta switch me and KRIS because this.
Oh yes.
You gotta.
Sounds like weird now. Yeah.
All right, I'll look this way.
All right.
Hey, KRIS.
Hey, what's up? I don't know which side because I mirrored my screen. So hold on one second. Let me unmirror it. There we go. There you go. Yeah.
That only changes for you. We still see you looking off camera left.
But gotcha. All right, there we go.
I'll pull up the Cameo later. But KRIS, tell us where you're at. First of all, it was your birthday on September 9th. So good, happy birthday to KRIS.
How old are you? Happy birthday.
I am not gonna say how old I am, but I'm in older. Yeah, because eventually people will figure out who I am and where I live and everything else.
You live in Georgia. We know you live in Georgia. You have a condo in New York. These are all public things now.
Hey, come on. Stop putting me out there.
Stop doxing me.
I know,
right?
Exactly.
So what are you doing? Why are you in the middle of the Atlantic? And who set this whole thing up for you to be here on your birthday?
It was actually my wife. She pretty much like surprised me with it. She was like, "Oh, guess what, honey?" I was like, "What?" She's like, "Oh, I booked us a cruise last minute." I was like, "Oh, that's great." And then we looked at the weather, and there's a goddamn hurricane coming this way. But then again, it's going the other way right now. So I don't think we're gonna get hit by a hurricane. But if it does, y'all gonna have to send the Finance Junkies chopper to come rescue me. So we'll see what happens.
Don't worry, we know where your quarter goes now. Quarter split.
How long is the cruise?
4 days. So it's from Monday through Friday. So we're coming back on Friday. It's like I think it's like a couple of days in the Bahamas, and they have like a private island that like the Royal Caribbean ships dock at. It's called Coco Cay. So we're gonna go do that. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, usually we've gone on a cruise before, but usually as a group. This time it's just me and the wife. So it's good.
And that's why you're podcasting tonight.
Well, no, I figured I was off like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, man, you know what? It's finally paying us now, so I can't not
right.
Can't not show up to work.
You're earning around $1 an episode now, so you better.
Hey, I'll take it.
Did that cruise leave out of Newark? Where did you leave out of?
Cape Canaveral.
Oh yeah, it better be a Disney cruise.
Florida.
They're right.
Okay.
The audience is right. This is not a Disney cruise.
It's a Disney cruise. You went
You're
down
not
there
going
to
to the Magic Kingdom.
That stock.
Yeah, I don't have any kids, man. I don't want to deal with the headache of.
Well, actually, you know how many old people go to the Magic Kingdom? No kids.
Yeah,
it is a thing.
No,
I don't know why, but it is a thing.
Yeah. No, I also wanted to kind of like test out the streaming setup that I have. Like I've got my camera, I've got like a nice light, and I have everything hooked up. So
that's cool.
The thing is, like,
your internet in the ocean on Starlink is better than AMIT's at home. Hardwired.
I said that. That was my joke like 2 minutes ago, dude. You weren't listening.
No, I didn't hear. But it's still true. Because you're like, you're like.
No, but
like,
you know what I found? You know what I found to be like the really most fascinating part about the whole thing is that, technically speaking, if you work from home, you could theoretically live on a cruise ship and do your job. Like I have enough speed where I can probably perform 99% of my daily functions with this, and the ship is pretty much contains everything. It's got multiple restaurants, multiple food. It's got
plenty of liquor
events every night. I opted to not to get the liquor package. Like I'm not trying to drink, so I'm just sticking to just some soda here and water.
Does your wife have the liquor package?
No.
Wouldn't that be a great alternative to a nursing home? Like instead of being in a nursing home somewhere, just have a floating boat that just goes all over the world.
They should have a floating nursing home.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Just send them all over the place.
It's funny that you say that because there's actually a lot of older folk that have memberships that actually do that. So instead of the nursing home, they'll just, they'll have this kind of thing. And believe it or not, the prices were actually very reasonable. I think it's hurricane season, so maybe that's why we got a little bit of a better deal.
We got that bargain basement pricing.
Because you're risking a hurricane, but
you're in the basement of the ship. It looks like.
No, I mean, if you've ever been on a cruise, all of them look like that. That actually looks like a nice room.
No,
it is.
Do you have a window?
No, it's actually the interior. The only thing is we've had like a room with the exterior out there, but dude, do you really want to go to Hurricane and then have the fucking ocean constantly hitting your room doors and stuff? So probably not. And not to mention, like I said, this was last minute, so I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I need to have like a balcony where I can, look out the door. And what are you going to see most of the time? Like I've had it before.
I am.
Quiet, woman. Get out of here. So the only thing is, it is a bit small, but it's fine. Me and the wife will be.
Well, that's what cruise ships are. You're mostly hopefully partying or eating or something.
So can you because I heard a voice in the back, can you tell us how thankful you are to have someone to put you on a private cruise and celebrate your birthday?
Damn, man, you gave us one fucking Venmo, bro. One Venmo. And you're already like, hey, no, I'm just kidding. No, she's amazing, man. Like
we have to say, AMIT
let them talk, Chris. We'll get to that in a second. We'll talk.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
I could not have asked for a better birthday present. Like I am not one to do like a huge birthdays. Like growing up, I was poor, so we never really had like, oh my God, it's a birthday, and her family is all like, hey, it's Tuesday, let's party and let's, so she's more of like, hey, let's go do stuff. And I'm more like, oh, listen, this is the first time we've actually had some money in our life. Let's not blow it all on one shot, but yeah, I think this was a great trip. Like I loved it so far. We went to Universal yesterday. By the way, if you're going to go on, anytime you want to go to Florida to go on like the theme parks, if you don't have kids, the best time to go is when me and her just went this Sunday. Every single ride. We didn't have a fast pass. We didn't have anything. It was literally like maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes per ride.
Some
And
were
even
walk on.
yeah, and some of them were like walk on. Some of them that were like they said on the app that it was going to be like 30 minutes, ended up being like 5. It was an amazing experience. So we got to ride all the roller coasters that we wanted to. The only thing is it was a bit hot, but I mean, hey, you know.
So you're saying this is the first time where you guys have enough money to really start doing more fun stuff. You're getting to that stage in life where you actually have disposable income to spend on those things.
Yeah. I think we've kind of always had it, but we just never really had the time to do a lot of additional stuff. Remember, I was always living in New York, flying back and forth. So we had maybe like a few days here and there. Like even today, I still had to sign into, like I had some trainings that I had to do for work. So because of the Starlink, I just signed on to my Zoom call, and I was on the Zoom call. It was, like I said, it had no difference than if I was at home. So if I can have that kind of broadband connectivity, I can just imagine so many people saying, you know what, I want to go see the world. Like Royal Caribbean has these 30-day around the world tickets, like where you can go to like all these destinations. Dude, this is the perfect way to do it, as opposed to flying there, getting a hotel. Like, dude, your hotel is the cruise ship. You want to go do excursions? Go do excursions, you know?
Yeah, that's incredible that Starlink's giving you this connection. Just insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Starlink, let's get to the first topic of the day. Mr. Elon Musk, Tesla.
We were going to talk about Cameo.
Yeah, you were going to show the thing, Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, yeah. Vitaly, you tweeted this, right?
Yep.
Okay, hold on. I have to find it. So explain what happened while I'm pulling up the tweet. You can explain.
So David the Amazing, who keeps giving us, I guess, the $28. I finally put the 2 and 2 together. That's him. So that's good. He basically paid off the guy from Revenge of the Nerds. I forgot his name. Do you remember his name, Carlos?
Ogre.
His name.
Actor's name?
Ogre.
It's Ogre, but what's
Tell
the
me it was
actor's
Ogre,
name?
yeah.
Either way, Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds. It was a funny movie, and he actually paid him to mention Finance Junkies and all of us. So that was kind of cool. Appreciate that. That was a nice gift. That's actually a very thoughtful gift. That's something like a wife would give to you, you know?
Yeah, it's really unique.
He was also in Bloodsport. If you guys remember, like the guy who was like the wrestler. Yeah, same guy. He was the same actor in Bloodsport. With Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's like one of one of my favorite movies, man. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, Bloodsport was good. Bloodsport was good.
Yeah,
have you ever heard of Bloodsport? Did you ever see Bloodsport?
I
No,
did.
I
No, we never saw Bloodsport. If we lived close to it, we would do a movie night every week. I'd have you sit here and watch Frozen with the kid. I'd have you watch Lion King. He's sitting here singing all the songs.
Yeah,
pull it up.
I can't find it, bro. The problem with Twitter is as soon as you tag someone in a tweet, they turn it to your replies, not in your actual post, because Twitter's so stupid the way they organize.
You can't search, do a user search within user.
Oh, hold on. Here it is. Sorry, I got it. Okay. It was hiding. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know this guy. I've never seen this guy. I appreciate David you doing this, but I did not know who this person was.
It fell on deaf ears. Only half of us got it.
There we go.
So, David, Mr. Wonderful, got a hold of me, and he says that you finance junkies just adore him. They're super fans, he said, of him. Isn't that special? He must be a real nerd. That's what I'm thinking, David. I'm not sure about this at all. But listen, I got to tell you something. Ogre here is into the stock market. Heavy duty in the stock market. So I dig this stuff, man. So you guys aren't nerds. You're cool because Ogre's a nerd, I guess, because I love the stock market. You know what I'm saying? And I guess you guys are pretty funny nerds. I don't understand this thing about the Seattle grunge scene and cult movies like Army of Darkness and Night of the Comet. I don't even know what those are. I know Revenge of the Nerds and Bloodsport. I do know those, but I don't know those really things. Hey, do aliens really exist? Well, then don't watch the Finance Junkie show on YouTube. But if you're interested in funny nerds, AMIT, VITALY, KRIS, and Carlos talking about stocks like Palantir, SoFi, and Vase. Then check out those Nerds Finance Junkies on YouTube. And here's a compliment for AMIT. Of all the 4 nerds, Finance Junkies, you, AMIT, are the biggest nerd going, bro. I bet you drink ginger ale, play pin the tail on the donkey, all that stuff, and ride little ponies. And so, yeah, that's what you do there. I'll bet you do, you nerd. And I bet you probably don't even drink beer because you're scared to get drunk. Ogre ain't. Well, listen, Mr. Wonderful, I have roasted your friends. I think they're cool in some ways. I think you're really cool because I think basically I love the stock market. You nerds. So I'm a nerd. You want to tell me that to my face, Mr. Wonderful? You're all nerds, you dorks. Well, I hope you make a lot of money, and I hope you're successful, and give me some hints as to what you're buying. I'd appreciate it. Mr. Wonderful, I dig you, bro. AMIT, nerd. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.
He's a goddamn nerd.
AMIT, nerd.
Well, it's kind of cool because like I grew up watching that guy. You know, he didn't have any history with him, AMIT, but now to see him say our names, it's kind of crazy a little
It
bit.
is
cool.
weird.
Yeah.
It is weird.
And he definitely maybe saw a clip. I would think he just saw a little clip. That's why he's making fun of you more than anybody.
Must have been. or David told him what he wanted him to say. It's
Yeah,
like
that's true too.
when you do interviews with celebrities and you meet them for the first time and like you're sitting down and they have to say your name. It's very weird.
He said them all right. I'm surprised he
said
got
them all
my-
right, too,
Angle,
yeah.
You've never really seen them before. It's weird.
When we
Everyone
do
says
these
my
two
name
super
wrong.
chats, but David, then we'll move on. Again, David, thank you for this. This is just, it's crazy that a fan actually did this for us or a viewer did this for us. It's just insane. David says, we need to have a special Finance Junkies episode that just reviews the fun cult classic movies like Army of Darkness, The Lost Boys, Night of the Comet, Return of the Living Dead, Killer Clowns, and From Outer Space, and Phantasm the Second.
Phantasm too.
How many
with the-
movies of
with
those
the
did you
ball
watch,
with the
AMIT,
knife.
now?
Oh
How
man.
many of those
I've
movies have you
Heard
seen?
of none
Zero.
of these movies
None of
ever
them.
in my life. I thought Return of the Living Dead is like Walking Dead for a second on AMC.
The Lost
You
Boys,
gotta
you know what
remember
that's
all these-
about?
All these movies
haven't
came out
seen
when Amit wasn't even born, man.
That's true.
You know, these are before his time.
But the funny thing is, my 10-year-old and 9-year-old have seen a lot of them already because I watch old movies and make them watch it. So
The other one he
The only
said,
one I
it
would
took
throw on
years
the
of-
list. I would throw on the Reanimator. Reanimator.
oh
You
geez.
guys see that one?
No.
It is. It's hysterical. It's like a dentist that can bring people back to life. He kills them and can bring it back to life. It's fucking hysterical. The 80s was such a golden era of
Toxic
movie making
Avengers.
when you think about like it was just such a good time.
Let me
Yeah,
just
even
read this
some of
last
the
one. He says,
different-
it took years of negotiations and millions of dollars, but I was able to hire Donald Gibb from Revenge of the Nerds to promote and roast Finance Junkies. What I do for my fans. That's right, David. We're your fans. That's exactly right.
Totally, he's paying our bills.
He's look,
There's-
the money.
yeah.
The money Amit sent us this last week was all David's, really.
It was like 80% of it was David.
Okay, let me share that real quick as well. So the debt has been paid officially.
The debt has been end-phased.
The debt has been paid. We officially made $4,454 over the past 5
You got to ring the bell. You got to ring the bell.
of Finance
that.
Junkies.
You gotta ring the bell.
After how many months a year?
That's 87 episodes. So that's 87 hours of our lives.
Can you divide that by 87 divided by 4?
Yeah, can you
Divide
do
by
that? I didn't
87 divided by
actually do the
4.
math on that.
Do the math on that. I'll do it.
4,454
what is that per
divided by
hour?
87. So we made $51 an hour divided by 4. We each made minimum wage at $12.79 an hour.
Woo! And Bernie Sanders comes up in here.
Hey, you know, I'm actually surprised it's $12.
minimum wage to a living wage for these YouTubers.
Bro, the funniest thing was, I sent out the money, right? I sent it to Carlos. 2 seconds later, Carlos is like, yo, are you sure you didn't send me everything? I
I
was like,
literally
no, bro.
did.
Like, this is, you got $1,100.
It was late. I was working and I had WhatsApp open and I saw that. I was like, this dude made a mistake and sent me all the money.
I actually wrote him and said, you're missing a 0.
And this is real. This is not lying. I mean, I think the Jeremy episode made like 200. So all like I can't fake these numbers. These are real fucking numbers. So,
What surprised me is how it got up so quickly when there was very few videos that were even in the 3 digits.
yeah, look, in the
That many.
beginning,
And it
was
still
like,
got up.
yeah, it
that
was like
high.
15, 16. By the last
15
month,
bucks here and there.
it's almost like 60 or 70 an episode, like on average. So it ended up being a decent amount of money. And
We got to use it. We got to go to what is that? Visualstocks.com, and we got to put this. We got to chart it to have all this to see our operating.
all right, so
free cash flow.
let's do this before we move on to Tesla. What are you doing with the $1,100 that we worked 87 hours for? Chris, what are you doing with it?
Buying some Google Leaps when they come, when the price comes up, bro. Dude, Google.
2026 sleeps are out already, right?
No, that they are, but the pricing is not good yet. Like you have to, for options, you gotta give, especially for brand new contracts that just came out. There's a lot of price discovery that needs to happen right now. The bid and ask spread on Google's 2026 January calls is just crazy right now. So it's not worth trying to buy into it right now. I would say give it 30 to 90 days of real market like price discovery, and then after that you could figure out some good areas that you want to enter. I mean, it does have December 2025 calls, but those are very thinly traded. And so, you know, a lot of when it comes to options, especially when you go into like leaps, it's not necessarily about what price you get in at, it's what you can actually exit with. Because a lot of times, if it's so far out and you want to exit out, you may not get a great price because the market is not an active market for it. I mean, granted, some of the stocks, like let's say Google, Facebook, you know, Apple, they have a lot of open interest, and they also have a lot of people willing to buy and sell. But if you get into like a thinly traded stock and you buy a leap on it, it's easy to get into it. It's really hard to get out of it without paying a shit ton
So if I said, hey, Chris, 2026 options are out, I want to buy them today, you would say be really careful.
Fuck no. I would say no. I would say no. Wait until some price discovery comes into the market where you actually can figure out. Because if you look at the bid and if you look at the spreads, like the bid and ask spread, dude, they could vary almost like 40% each way. So you don't want to touch anything like that. Not unless, yeah, it's not a good idea to do that, you know, especially if you're trying to do like a risk adjusted return. Like you want to know that you're getting good pricing on the options where you're not overpaying for them. And then the entire time that you have them, you're dealing with a huge amount of decay that's happening. Because remember, when it comes to options, especially those that are so far out, it's really, really hard for the market makers to figure out how to price these things without an active market. Eventually they'll be able to do it, but right now it's not a good time to be in it. I would say the best time is usually when there's a significant market downturn without any real news coming up, and where you have all these people just trying to unload as many stocks because everyone is scared. You know, remember when we were buying those TFC
the market was scared. It was very
the market
scary.
was scared, and so we were able to fill our spreads at a very, very good price, and we also were able to sell the top ones. Remember the $45 calls for a really good price, which meant that even if TFC was like stayed flat, we were making money on the decay. You know, so opportunities like that seldom exist in the market, but when they do, it's, you know, you want to have some liquid capital ready to go. So.
Okay, Vitaly, what are you doing with your 1100? And then
Real quick. All right.
I already spent it on a pool cover.
Okay. So wait, so you got the money and you're like, I'm buying this on Amazon today?
I want this pool cover real bad. Winter's coming here, so I needed that.
Carlos?
I put that into I moved that out into the cash position because we're 10 days away from what I think is going to be the year low for crypto, for Bitcoin, September 21st. I'm calling that as like the bottom. And so it's just sitting there waiting. By the way, guys, two things. Number one, people keep saying, Amit, that we need to put the dates, especially in the clips that we do for the video, so that they know the original air date of the video, like for the clips, the shorter clips. And I just put the date into today. So after, you'll see on the YouTube video.
Yeah, the only reason I haven't done that, guys, by the way, is because I'm clipping all of them at once. And so to go back and find the original episode, it's not like I can't do it. Just takes a little bit more time.
Yeah,
that I don't have. So I will try.
I hear you. That's why I just put in the date right now, so that if we do make any subsequent clips, you'll see the date. The other thing is, guys, today's September 11th, 21 or 22 years ago. 22 freaking years ago that happened. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so I wanted to talk about that too, but we got into KRIS. So let's do that because we got a lot of shit to talk about. Let's do 10 minutes on September 11th because all of us are New Yorkers. I'm in New Jersey, but all you guys are New Yorkers. You guys were in high school around that time, and then let's go straight to Tesla.
No, I was working. I was at the job in Manhattan.
Yeah, and honestly, I think this is the first topic we should discuss because I heavily believe in the philosophy of never forget. So, what does 9/11 mean to you? Let's start with Vitaly, and we'll go to the rest. Go ahead. Or where were you during 9/11? That's a better question.
Well, yeah. So I was actually at Bloomberg. I was a software engineer at Bloomberg. And I came in, I still remember it. I walked into the office and they have TVs everywhere, right? It's Bloomberg. And you walk in and immediately I saw, this is 9 o'clock, around 9 a.m., somewhere, I forgot exact time. The plane hits the first one and I'm like, oh shit, that's a terrorist attack. like immediately. It wasn't on the news yet that there was a terrorist attack. I think it was a couple
Your gut
minutes later.
instinct on the first plane was it's an attack.
Yeah, planes don't just hit buildings in New York. That doesn't happen. And then they didn't even say that initially. And then the second plane hits, of course, and then all hell breaks loose. I remember then walking over, was it the 59th Street Bridge? Like, because you couldn't exit downtown or something. Everyone who wanted to get out of the city, the jobs were basically go home. Everybody said go home. And I remember walking over the bridge, 59th Street. So it was a weird ass time. And my girlfriend at the time, different than my wife now, was trying to reach me. She couldn't reach me. She was worried that something had happened. So all of that kind of stuff was happening. It was a weird time.
But you were at work, you said. You were in
I
the
was at
office.
work. Yeah. And the lines were busy. I remember trying to get through to something, but the lines started to be very busy at that time too. So it was very weird. It was surreal. That's what it was. It wasn't like, oh, is this happening? You know what I mean? Like, is this real? Because I wasn't down in right where the actual plane said. I was on 59th Street, where Bloomberg is, somewhere around there. This is a long time ago, obviously. So it just all felt weird the whole day.
Carlos?
That was actually, I told you guys that I used to work security, right? I used to be a partner in a security company. 9/11 happened about 2 weeks after I left that company to start a production and post company with a buddy of mine in New York City. So we decided to break into the entertainment business, and we had just started the company. And I was going in, he lived on, we were working out of like 51st Street. I got off the train. And I saw a bunch of police cars like driving on the wrong side of the road going downtown. I was like, that's weird. And when I got into the office, but he was like, oh yeah, they said some Cessna hit one of the World Trade Centers, and we were just like watching live, and we saw that second plane hit it live, and we're like, oh shit, that's not an accident. So immediately everyone's trying to call everybody. Cell phones didn't work. We ran out to the West Side Highway and started watching it burn down. And I was like, yo, they're gonna need help. Like, it's gonna be people. So we start walking down there. We got from 51st till about 23rd Street, and that's when the towers came down, and we watched it go down live. It was crazy because you saw it go down, and like 8 seconds later, you heard the sound because of the distance, the delay. And I remember, I'll just tell like one kind of fucked up story from there. So about 10 minutes later, as we're continuing to walk downtown, we see this guy running up from downtown. He's a guy in a suit with a briefcase, and he's covered in like all the soot and the dirt. He got like blood on him, and he's running uptown. And this guy's coming downtown. This guy's coming downtown on a bike. It was like a bike messenger. They were really prevalent back in like in that time. And the like Wall Street guy like stops the guy on the bike, and he's like this, getting in his way. And the guy was like, "What the fuck do you want, man?" And he goes, he pulls out $1,000, the Wall Street like banker dude, in cash, and he's like, "Yo, I'll give you $1,000 right now for that bike." And he's like, "Fuck that, man." He goes, "Yo, my wife was in that tower. He needed to get downtown." He was like, "I'm sorry, man, but you're on your own." And he like bike messenger like pulls away, and then that Wall Street guy just like ran down to try to help his
You
wife.
remember this completely?
Oh yeah, I'll never forget that moment, that dude. And so then my friend who was with me was like, "Yo, I'm not gonna go down there." I was like, "I'm gonna go down and see if they need any help. There's gonna be something going on." So I tried to get downtown. By the time I got there, the military was starting to block off streets, so I really couldn't get downtown. I ended up waiting on a line. They were like, "We're gonna need a lot of blood transfusions." So I was like waiting in a line for like an hour, and I was like, "This is kind of pointless." And then finally was able to get home somehow. And me and a bunch of my friends, my family, we all went to Home Depot and just spent, a couple $1,000 on. They kept saying they need Sawzall blades just to cut through shit. So we bought all the Sawzall blades and like tarps and water and stuff. And then there was like a spot, I forgot where it was, in Marine Park, where you could give the resources, and they would send it downtown. And that was that. But to put a positive spin on it, 10 years later, I actually worked with a company to do a documentary on a very little known story of 9/11. And on 9/11, believe it or not, it actually ended up being the largest boat evacuation in recorded history.
Yeah.
And nobody knew this. And so worked on a documentary where they actually interviewed a lot of the boat captains that were there, that just did this impromptu boat rescue, because once they shut Manhattan down, the only way to get out was by boat. So these like tugboats, party boats, like the Staten Island ferry, all of them just kind of came in and did this impromptu rescue thing where they were taking people, like putting their destination on a bed sheet and taking people where they got to go. So I'm going to share the screen. And the guy, look, it could have been a chance to win an Oscar. Can you guys see this? So this was the film, and he had a choice. They said, hey, if you want this to be eligible for an Oscar, you can't have it air at all. But they did. They ended up airing it on CNN on 2011, in 2011, and so it disqualified it from being eligible for an Oscar. But look, it's got 10 million views now. And this is when I got to work with Tom Hanks, because he ended up being the narrator on this. So we got to sit in. He was doing a voiceover session. He does the voiceover in this. And he was like, we were like, oh, here's the script. If you want to read the script, just read the script. And then he's like, no, I want to watch the movie. I want to actually watch it. So we sat there like while Tom Hanks was watching the movie, and we're just like listening to him over. It was a phone call. And when it was done, I mean, I wrote it down because it was a great quote. He was like, this is a fantastic piece of storytelling, gentlemen. I'm really happy to be collaborating with you on this.
How long was the movie? An hour?
It's a 10-minute doc that we did,
that's it. Okay.
where they followed, they interviewed a bunch of the boat captains. There was some really cool characters that day. So they interviewed a bunch of the boat captains. This guy is actually, he's deceased. This guy, Vincent Ardolino, he actually passed away.
Just like that. She looked at me. She says, what are you going to do?
He's just in his house in Marina, what was it? No, Sheepshead Bay in Brooklyn. And he was like, yo, I got a boat. Let's go down there and rescue these people. His wife was like, you're crazy. They're going to come kill you. And he went down there. And so it follows their story. This is what I was telling you. I saw some crazy footage that like never made it to the public. So this is some footage that was shot on that day. And it's crazy. You read the comments. There's people that found themselves in the video and were like, that's me. This guy rescued me. Anyway, I'll put the link in the chat if you guys want to watch it. It's one of those projects that I am actually super proud of. But it had a nice ending. I don't know if you guys can see that link, but I put the link in there.
Yeah.
And Chris, where were you on 9/11?
I was in the 10th grade. I remember it was right after homeroom, I think. And then, or was it like, it was like the first or second period. And I remember when the first plane hit, everyone thought, hey, it's probably an accident. You know, like, oh, maybe the plane just veered off and that. But when that second plane hit, dude, everyone knew that, that was when you knew that this shit was. And then, of course, like, you know how the rumor mill works. And then I was like, oh, the Washington Bridge just got hit. But then, like, the Pentagon got hit. So it was like, it was mass panic. And I still remember the part that really messed with, well, the part that I remember the most is, you guys remember if you took the B-59 to like Fort Hamilton on McDonald Avenue, the subway stop, and it's like an elevated platform. But the thing is, like, if you look further down enough, you can actually see downtown Manhattan and all the buildings. You know, dude, I still remember seeing the smoke in the air at the time, like coming out of the buildings and everything else. And it was a surreal sight just to see that whole thing happen. And yeah, I remember my mom, she was at home, and all the papers that were actually in the building, because the wind
they flew to Brooklyn.
Right. They flew to Brooklyn. And so my mom actually gathered up some of the papers and kept them. She's like, I don't know what these are, but this is like a historical moment. So they're still somewhere at home. Like she kept them. But basically that was the level of craziness that had happened. I mean, you know, it's a surreal, being in New York during that time was just surreal. But I will say this, there were a lot of heroes that day, a lot. And you can hear it all night, all day long. You saw fire trucks literally just going, like, because we were right next to the Battery, like where I lived near Red Hook, the Battery Tunnel is like right there. So you saw all of them rushing towards the Battery Tunnel, the Brooklyn Bridge. And it was just, yeah, there was just a sea of blue. And what's funny is I work at a hospital. We have a World Trade Center clinic set up specifically for all the first responders, because that 9/11 fund that they created. And you see these guys, they're all much older right now. But let me tell you, the lagging effects of all the shit that they breathed in during the rescue period, you know, they're still there. Like, you look at some of their chest x-rays, full of all sorts of issues and stuff. And it's really, really sad, because it is not the way that anyone wants to go. You know, you're literally, that moment changed a lot for these people, especially. And like I said, these guys are real heroes. You know, when you get stuck in a really bad situation, one of the things that you do, I don't know if that happens like so much in the NYPD or the fire department, but I'm sure it does. The one thing that you get trained on in the military or any role that requires you to be in a high stress situation is you just completely blank out of the situation, and your training kicks in. And that training is what allows you to be literally all your fear centers just go away. It's like, no, I have a job. This is my job.
Stoic.
This is what I'm going to do. There's no questioning. And I never understood that until I was in the military and until I was dealing with the same kinds of issues. And it was just like you go into the zone of you don't think about the consequences. You just think about your mission. And these guys, it's imagine going into a burning building, but not just a burning building. You have to go to like the fucking 70th floor of a burning building to rescue people. 70 fucking floors. That's like I don't know if anyone can actually run up 70 floors. And these guys have all
carrying
this gear
100, carrying 100 pounds.
So no, man,
yeah.
the fire department, NYPD, all the first responders, they deserve every single thing that was promised to them during post 9/11. They fucking deserve everything and more, man. Because when it comes to like selflessness, these guys had it in spades. And every single ladder company that day, like I'm thinking about it right now, and it fucking tears me up just to even think about all these guys sometimes in the waiting rooms, waiting to get treatment for like a lot of the shit that happened to them that day. And it's just, and sometimes I don't know if you saw that thing with Jon Stewart where Congress was kind of like waffling on whether or not they wanted to pay out some of the money. It was just like,
well, that was Governor Whitman. That was Governor Whitman's fault at the time.
Did they actually pay out the money or no?
I don't think they did.
I don't know. There was a lot of back and forth because, like I said, they had set up a 9/11 trust fund specifically to deal with the first responders and making sure that they were well taken care of after this. But there were all these. Anytime the fucking government gets involved,
there's bureaucracy.
It's always bureaucracy, man, and
well,
that's
the
sad thing.
Like 2 weeks later, they were trying to, the first responders were complaining about the working conditions. Some of the dogs that they were using to sniff out dead bodies were dying. Like within a week, they were dying. So like something's wrong here, right? They were actually faking rescues because the dogs were getting depressed because they weren't finding anybody. It was just nothing but dust. And so people were getting concerned with the air quality. And they had Christy Todd Whitman went on TV and said, no, the air quality is safe, just so that she could get everyone to continue working. And then like 5 years later, you found out, no, it actually caused cancer and all these people got sick. Someone posted it in one of the chat. Yeah, Ray, 436. They all got cancer. The effects of 9/11 rippled out to so many, and they're supposed to take care of them and future generations. Because if you have a first responder in your family and that's the main breadwinner and that guy dies, then you've got a wife and potential kids that are left just out there with nobody.
There's 3,000 people that died that day itself.
Right, and now add on all of the first responders and all the people that died after that. It's it's got to be double that. But
you know what I remember the most though? I remember I was working overnight at a hospital in the city when they fucking got Osama bin Laden. When they got Osama bin Laden post 9/11, like it was 10 years later. But I remember I was watching on the news and they're like, oh, like we got him after everything happened. And it was the moment that everyone finally got some fucking closure because it was like this motherfucker. Like if you were a New Yorker and you heard about this, your entire instinct was if I saw this motherfucker anywhere, I would fucking stab him myself. I don't care what the consequences were. And when we finally got this son of a bitch, it was the greatest feeling. I still remember, like, where I think President Obama had come out and then he just said we got him, and I was like, I can't tell.
And then he dropped the mic.
I don't know. He didn't drop the mic, but no, it's just.
I feel like within 2 days. I feel like within 2 days after that, there was because I was a big gamer back then. Like they had some DLC for Call of Duty where you could play that mission. Someone. I'm looking it up right now. Someone in the
Zero
chat,
Dark
keep
30.
me
Zero
honest.
Dark
Yeah,
30,
well,
there's a movie about
well,
it.
Call of Duty was awesome, and you would get this DLC, so you'd be able to download like new levels. And I think somebody made the level where was it SEAL Team 6 went in and you could actually play the mission where they killed Osama bin Laden. That was like, it was awesome, but also
there was a movie about it in 2012 too. Yeah.
So can you confirm, Amit, that this is a Palantir mission?
I didn't bring up Palantir. I didn't bring up none of that. No,
Where was
Can you
Alex
confirm
Clark that
that?
day?
I'm not even talking about that on the topic.
What was Carb doing? What philosophy class was he in?
Yeah, I mean, look in terms of my
He
experience
was
with 9/11
pontificating.
Actually, he was starting up. That was like the first.
Well,
year.
I was gonna, yeah. I mean, they
Well, no, you
started
had
out-
your word of the day. I caught your show one of those mornings, and your word of the day was something. It was like a pontification. It was something like that, and it was
That wasn't the specific word, but we probably.
It was a
had
specific word where it was like where you're. What was it like? You're bullshitting in a poetic sort of way, and you actually took it there. You actually took it there, and you went to Carp.
Yeah,
there
I
is
forgot the
one
word.
there is one sad reality that did come out of 9/11, and me and Amit probably know this the best. every single brown person became a fucking target. Like
Yeah.
literally, you could have. We were Indian.
The Russians were finally clear. The Russians. That was the golden age of Russians.
Dude, the amount of times in 7th grade that I got called a terrorist,
Oh,
and
man,
in my head I was like, wait a second, like, Muslim people did 9/11. I'm Hindu. Like, aren't I clear from this? And the guy who's calling me a terrorist, his name was Hamad. I was like, Hamad, but Hamad was black. So Hamad was black, so he didn't look like a conventional terrorist.
Well,
every day, bro, he's like, yo, what's up, terrorist? I'm like, I'm not even the same religion as these guys, but every day I just had to deal with it.
Well, during the 90s, I was
so
a communist, being
Yes.
Russian, and so
Yep.
finally I didn't have to deal with that for a little bit. Thank God. Thank you, Amit.
Chris, did you get hit emotionally in high school for this type of stuff?
I didn't. No one really. I didn't really face that much prejudice like later on, but I remember initially everyone was like, "Hey, maybe you need to call your cousin and tell him not to fucking do this kind of shit anymore."
Yep.
Like stuff
Yep.
like that. Like it was like slight remarks. And if you grew up in Brooklyn, bro, you're gonna hear it. Like people have no fucking filter in Brooklyn.
The good thing was Hamad was fat, so I had to come back against him. I didn't just get bullied. But no, it was us like picking on each other. It wasn't really him bullying me, but yeah, it was real, bro. If you look brown after 9/11, you got
The
that.
sad reality is there's so many Muslims I served with a bunch of people that were Muslims when I was in the army. It wasn't like, oh my God, this one group of people did this and they all agree with Osama and everything else. And it's like, no, man, every religion has a piece of shit in it.
Yeah.
And they'll use religion as the basically the justification for doing whatever the fucking dumb shit that they want to do is. And it's, yeah, I felt, I don't know. At this point, I don't even know what to say. I'm just glad that we're done with it. I think terrorism, I don't want to say that we've won against terrorism. I just think that terrorism isn't exactly the biggest concern for us anymore. Like it was, I think the term terrorism was scapegoated into taking away a lot of freedoms for people. It actually did a number on our economy because there was so much justified spending that happened post 9/11 in the military industrial complex when it could have just been resolved by just find a guy, whack him, whack anyone who was involved, and call it a day. And instead, we invaded 2 fucking countries.
Weapons of mass destruction
For oil.
Yeah.
Let's face facts for oil, and not to get Osama.
It had nothing to do with.
It had nothing to, even back then when I was in my 20s, didn't care about politics. As soon as they went to war, I was like, oh, this is about oil. It's obvious. It wasn't even really hidden. It was like, come on.
I think the worst ones were the fucking Dixie chicks. Bro, they came out against
Dixie
the war.
chicks. Oh, come on.
The Dixie chicks got their asses handed.
I know they
to
did,
them.
but that was stupid
Yeah.
too. That was so stupid.
That was
I remember that.
Okay, let me just say one last thing on this, and then we'll transition. My mom took me to the top of the World Trade Center August 2001 when I was 4 years old. So we were there right before September happened. And I was fascinated by 9/11 my whole life. Like when I got old enough to get on YouTube, so around 2008, 2009, I watched every single video I could find on 9/11 because I was just like, when I saw those planes hitting those towers, I was just like, it was just one of the most insane things ever. I took a class on it in college. I studied it very deeply. I know all the conspiracy theories head to toe. I've watched all the documentaries. I got really obsessed with 9/11 about 10 years back. So it's been one of those things that's always been on my mind. And
Did you watch Loose Change?
I watched Loose Change. I know everything. I'm a historian of 9/11. Like I can tell you a lot about it. So it's one of those things where it's just one of the most craziest events in the trajectory of humanity.
Real quick.
And it's one of those things.
We got to share this real quick. You got to share this. This is funny. This goes to what you were saying, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the kind of guy who just thinks it's abominable when a superpower with all this military might, with no provocation, attacks a country that is, Iraq. Afghan. I'm sorry, Korea. No, sorry, Ukraine. Terrible.
Did you get his joke?
That was good.
Yep.
Well,
All right.
The thing is, the U.S. has always been known to have these moments where because of that, it galvanizes the populace into a wartime scenario. Like the U.S. actually is probably one of the most isolationist in terms of war, if you think about it. Like World War II, majority of the U.S. was not in favor of going into World War II. It was Pearl Harbor that did it in. Now, the thing is, the intelligence at the time said that Pearl Harbor was something that could have been preventable, but we will never really know, right? It's just one of those things that I fail to see how an entire Japanese fucking carrier division can move right off the coast of Pearl Harbor and attack us without any sort of. And then with Vietnam, if you guys remember, it was the Gulf of Tonkin, that whole thing, that was the provocation that we needed to really escalate things up. And then, yeah, it's just the U.S. is
for 9/11. There was the failed bombing of the World Trade Center in 1996. Then there was the USS Cole. Remember that? Where a guy on a like speedboat got next to one of a destroyer and blew a hole in the side. And this is all in the commission report. This is why I think you guys should read this. And so they were like, but that wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to get the American public sufficiently angry to rally behind the military to go into these other countries. And so then,
well, I don't think first of all, I don't think that 9/11 was like an orchestrated event by like the US, like, oh, this was just an inside job. That's not what happened. I will say the part that is the inside job is we had Osama in Tora Bora. Like that was like they knew exactly where this motherfucker was. They were gonna get him. But with all the shit that happened in between, I think the interest said, look, if we get this guy, that's it. We will not be able to go further into this conflict, right? Because Osama was the head of the snake. If we take out the head of the snake, the interest of the war dies down significantly. They let the guy go, basically, at the time. And they said, we need this guy to be the boogeyman for us so that we can take all the actions that we need to go into the second level of things. And then the military industrial complex just kind of took over and said, we're going to galvanize the populace into supporting whatever escapades that we want to go into when it comes to
it basically gave them an excuse to push the agenda, right? The agenda.
Well, the Patriot Act is still around, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they made
I don't think that's gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad. A lot of people got tortured because of that Patriot Act. People that look like Chris and I waterboarded. A lot of shit happened because of that.
And it also gave the CIA plenty of opportunity then to make all those tools that they use against us now. So a lot of things happened because they wanted them to happen, just like Chris said. Let's face it, if America wants to kill one guy, they can kill one guy at any point.
Yeah.
This is
all right.
This is something, I don't know if I've shared this with you guys before, but this is something that came out right after. I don't know when it was. It was shortly after.
Okay, Carlos, a bunch of people want us to move on to Teslas. Can we move on to that one?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's do that one.
We don't have to go there. All right. So what happened with Tesla today?
So real quick, Adam Jonas from the Jonas Brothers has upgraded his. You guys know the Jonas Brothers, the band?
Yeah,
that was the name of this podcast.
Is that your favorite band?
That was my.
that was the joke in the thumbnail. I saw. We got it.
So 550 on the bull case, 400 on the base case, up from 250. That makes Tesla a $1 trillion company. We believe Dojo can add up to $500 billion to Tesla's enterprise value. Apparently, this guy is really respected on the street. I found out about him last night when this report came out because the stock was up 10% today. And Tesla being up 10% is a big deal because it's 2% of the S&P 500. Let's start off with...
Wait, are you joking about that? Because we've talked about Adam Jonas many times.
So I've heard his name, but I never knew he was.
He was the guy that gave the $10 price target. We've talked about this.
No, so I remember the $10
times.
price target because I bought Tesla that day in May 2019. I didn't know he was the guy.
That's the pre-split price of $10.
Yep, I bought it.
And it's only up like 12,000% since then.
Well, I sold it when it doubled. So.
A small.
But I'm saying, like, to go from that 10 to now go to the bullish thing on this, that's quite a trip he's made. But missed the massive run in the. Okay,
so Vitaly, you start off. Why is he so important? Why is this guy? Why does this guy?
Morgan Stanley. Well, Morgan Stanley is important. Like, so let's face it. Okay, analysts, people listen to them, and they do affect the market at least temporarily. Whether this pump lasts, I don't know, because a pump happens and then it can come back. There's no reason. I know a lot of people are getting really, really bullish that we're going straight to 400, but that's not the way this works. This is still going to take time to play out. And Adam Jonas is for some reason respected in this community going over Tesla when he's been wrong almost every single time on Tesla for like 5 years. So I don't understand why this guy is followed at all, honestly. Are you there?
Carlos, your
I
thoughts?
lost everybody.
You're muted, Carlos.
I think
Oh.
I can speak. I think I can speak to that, and it's not to give him a pass, but I think I can sort of explain why. What I think we're seeing now is Tesla is finally starting to get a little bit of the AI multiple, right? They're starting to say, okay, maybe they are an AI company. I mean, Tesla at Investor Day last year said that they want to increase the Dojo supercomputer training to, what do they say, to 100 exaflops by October. Now, it's typically why I don't respect those Wall Street analysts is because they just up their price targets and they don't actually tell you why. They just say, oh, and it seems like they're chasing the price. If it's going up, they want to be $50 higher. And if it's going down, they want to be $50 lower. But in this case, he's speaking specifically on their AI capabilities. So it seems like just like Tesla needing to be justified or validated by Wall Street as a car company, and we saw the multiple increase there. Now they're starting to be accepted. Maybe they are actually an AI company. I don't think that it's any coincidence that this is about a week or so after Elon had the demonstration of FSD 12, and you actually saw a really good article in MSNBC about FSD 12, and they were saying this marks a milestone where a computer is now no longer, the FSD system is now no longer being trained by code. It is literally just being shown millions of videos on what the correct driving habits are, and it is deducing what is the correct thing to do in situations just based on the video that it's trained. And Elon has said what we need now in order to have, say, the perfect system is to upload billions of videos to this machine, but then you require a tremendous amount of compute. So now it's literally just an arms race. The more compute they have, they already have the data, they already have the videos, they just need the compute power to process it. And so that's why I think he's putting the numbers together, saying, you know what, if they really are going to achieve this 100 exaflops, then everything that they're saying now they can actually achieve, because it's just a matter of compute power now. It is no longer about coding. So that's why I think people are respecting what he's saying.
Can I just respond in terms, well, respecting, he's been talking for a long time. People do listen to analysts, so Morgan Stanley is important to listen to. But Adam Jonas is just chasing NVIDIA, basically. He's missed that. So now he's like, okay, I need to be on the bandwagon of some AI play. And so he's picking Tesla, which is not a bad AI play, but I think he's just a chaser. I don't think he's actually...
Well, the thing is, he can be wrong about how he's getting
he gets there, right?
But he's still correct in the fact that they are an AI company, and this is an AI play.
So here's the thing. Look, obviously, I'm a big Tesla bull. I have a lot of Tesla, but he's saying in 12 months, Dojo is going to be a real thing. Is this what he's saying? 12 to 18 months. The price target is
end of 2025. So kind of, I think 2 years.
Dojo has to be a real thing within a year and a half.
I mean, but here's it. But again, if you look at the data, and I wish I could pull up, if I get a second, I'll pull up the MSNBC article. You have to understand the FSD team started training the FSD 12 computer 8 months ago. So it was basically from zero. Within 8 months, it's able to drive better than the current build of FSD. When you look at that trajectory.
No, hold on. This is not even only FSD. This is Dojo. He's actually saying that is a SaaS business. If you read it, I read his thing. It's a SaaS business.
Yeah.
In 12 to 18 months, it's a SaaS business.
Wait, hold on. So to clarify, he means Tesla will sell compute the way NVIDIA sells compute to other companies. That's what he's saying?
He has multiple cases. One of them is the SaaS business aspect of Dojo. Yes.
NVIDIA makes the GPUs. What he's saying is that the Dojo computer could have sufficient capacity to be able to take over the training, the training portion for other companies. So you would pay them to basically train an AI for you. You would give it the data, and this would allow,
like if Meta wanted to train their LLM, they could use Dojo instead of NVIDIA.
Instead of their own, right? Because if they can prove to the market that their training is X number of times faster, X number of times more reliable, right? Then and also it saves you the upfront cost of having to build and maintain a system like that yourself. You would literally just need to put the input and get the output.
Okay, so let me get Chris in this, and we'll go back to you guys. Chris, do you think this price target makes any sense? Is Adam Jonas chasing $500 billion off Dojo, or is it realistic?
I mean, to be honest, the reality is at some point we're going to need robotaxis to work. And the reason is leaving Uber to its own supremacy in terms of monopolistic power is bad. Like right now, me and the wife, we've probably spent close to $150, maybe $160 so far with Ubers. No, just Ubers. Because we flew into Florida. Well, actually, we had to leave our car in Atlanta, so we took an Uber to the airport. Then we landed. We took an Uber from the airport to our hotel. Then we took an Uber from the hotel to Universal. Then we took an Uber from the hotel back to our from the Universal to back to our hotel. And then we took an Uber to another location where we met up with our shuttle that took us to Port Canaveral. So even when we go back, it's going to be the same exact thing back over again. It's going to be, we get off at Port Canaveral, we go to our shuttle, we go somewhere, and then we take an Uber. Actually, no, I think our thing actually drops us to the airport, and then we're going to have to Uber it from the airport back home again. So you see, like, all that money that we're spending on Ubers can actually go to like this taxi system if it actually works and it's allowed, and the thing is, like, the area that we're in, it's not as crowded as, like, let's say a city, so it might end up being a valid thing that happens in the future. I wonder what's going to happen to all these people that make a living as Uber drivers if FSD becomes a real thing.
But do you think this
They're
price
gonna
target
go
thing
away.
makes
Listen,
any sense?
they're going to go away. They're going to go away. So listen, someone has to solve this. Uber is going to be seen as a stopgap. Uber's the thing that proved that Uber's like the MySpace. They proved that there's a real market for that. There's a real market for local drivers driving people around on short trips, and also delivery. This idea that, like, say Target and whatnot needs to have their own fleet, not necessarily. If Uber were to partner with them, even for on the food and the small items, Uber could more than handle a system like that. But they're gonna go away. If you have a company that can undercut you 75%, it's just not going to make sense financially to have a company like that. And what does Uber need to do at this point in order to become autonomous? They need to invest in either autonomous vehicles, or they need to build their own vehicle. What they need to do, the amount of capital they need to expend in order to be that company, is just way too high. And they're not really making money now. So I don't see how Uber could be the company that takes us autonomous.
They're about to start making money, by the way, and they will take us autonomously as well. Look, Tesla's going to be there.
Like you're at Uber. How do you do it?
Keep thinking that there's only like one player is just going to control.
But what I'm asking is, that's great to say, but how does Uber do it? Do they buy a bunch of Waymo cars? Do they buy a bunch of cruise vehicles?
They train on Dojo. That's it.
Like, seriously, where do they spend money to go autonomous? How do they actually make that money?
The answer is they will partner with Tesla. At some point, they are going to Tesla's going to want a good partner, and Uber is the clear choice to partner with to have mass scale right away with robotaxis. If I go back to Elon's point, if Elon actually cares more about transitioning the world to EVs that we keep talking about, he's going to want to scale as fast as possible. And that's one reason he's lowering all the prices too. He wants to scale as fast as possible as well. So he is going to partner with a company like Uber. It's not going to be Lyft. Lyft is going bankrupt. They're going to be bought out. So it's Uber. That's the only other option.
There's been rumors. They've been saying that Tesla should.
And can you share? Okay, you're sharing this by Adam Jonas just to point out what he said exactly. We believe the Dojo can add up to $500 billion to Tesla's enterprise value, expressed through a faster adoption rate and mobility, which is robotaxi, okay, and network services, the SaaS business for Dojo. The change drives our price target to 400 from 250 previously. So once again, if he's estimating in 12 to 18 months, robotaxis and network services, that's kind of interesting that he's being that bullish now. It seems.
Why is this happening now? We knew about the Dojo thesis for a long time. Tesla hasn't released anything.
But I mean, you have to realize that there's always been a delay, specifically with Tesla, and it could just be on a negative sentiment thing, where there's a resistance to see the company as what they declare themselves to be, and a bit of like prove it, right? And so I really think that was a game-changing moment. The FSD 12 demo was a game-changing moment, because they're saying, we did not program this computer to understand what a stop sign is. We just put a bunch of video of drivers doing what they do at stop signs, and the vehicle now understands what a stop sign is. Even within the first few minutes of the test, the first test was as they were pulling out of the parking lot, there was a bicyclist or a pedestrian walking, and he's like, this is going to be a moment, let's see what happens. And the vehicle automatically slowed down. Why? Because they fed it millions of videos that showed human drivers slowing down. So what you're getting now is humans are training this system to drive in the same way that humans train humans to drive. I would imagine, and he keeps talking about this LLMs, I'm completely speculating this, but I would imagine that they're going to have a way where, using the voice feature, the voice command feature in the car, someone could actually talk to the FSD computer, like the way that you would train somebody in a vehicle. You'd say, hey man, why did you got to creep at that light, or don't, hey, let that guy pass. You can actually just tell the car, hey, what you did there was fucked up, and it'll understand what you're saying in natural language and be able to incorporate that into training data as well. You get to some level of like that where now people can actually talk to the cars and say, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. Oh my God. I mean, it's the curve of this thing getting better and better is just going to be, it's going to go vertical. So that's what
the only
I'm
thing
looking at now.
The only thing is, I'd say a slowdown will bring the stock back down again. I know right now the euphoria with this whole price target just came out and everyone was like buying the shit out of it. It's like literally just rode up 10% in a day. This has been the hallmark of Tesla, where yes, the robotaxi could become something big in the future. And I think it could happen, but that's not the case right now. So I think people's attention and memories are short. And if there is some really bad numbers that come out, which even Elon says right now, expect a slowdown, expect margin compression. If that happens in the short term, we could see Tesla retesting, at a minimum 200, if not 150. Like if I had to say right now in the short to medium term, 150 could get back down there, especially with the Fed keeping the rates as high as they are right now. And at this point, inventory starting to just normalize and not really grow much further for Tesla.
So you think Adam Jonas's report was kind of more like pie in the sky, here's what we think could happen, but it has zero impact in terms of short-term relevancy, because Q3 earnings are probably still going to be bad in your opinion.
I think this is the same thing as our friend who upgraded Palantir to 25.
Very, very similar. If Adam Jonas, by the way, look, first of all, I like the price target.
I love how you said our friend. You still have some love.
If I think me and Carlos today made basically an annual salary in a day. I think that's what happened. So
how much money did you make today on Tesla?
I made a lot of money today. Today was an annual salary basically. So, but I didn't sell, so it doesn't matter. I'm not taking the profit.
You when I grow up.
In either case, the point is, I would be super happy about that if I thought it was long lasting. But the fact that Adam Jonas didn't say, hey, this is more along the lines of selling more energy products. This is more along the lines of selling the Cybertruck, which is coming out. That's going to be a hit. He didn't say those things in that report. He talked more about the SaaS business, which is not real right now. So if he mentions something in reality in the next 12 months, and the thing is, look, I believe the SaaS business is going to happen. Dojo is happening. Robotaxis are happening. I'm just saying these analysts have price targets for 12 months. They don't have it for 5 years. This is not a Cathie Wood play, right?
Speaking of Cathie Wood, real quick, she bought 400,000 shares of Robinhood just now. Go ahead.
Of course. And she sold Tesla as soon as Adam Jonas said that.
She didn't sell any Tesla today. No Tesla.
So that's my point, that I wish it was more based in reality in terms of the next 12 months like he's supposed to do, and not in but if he just said, look, this is 4 years from now or 3 years from now, something more reasonable, I would understand. But I think the hype, in this case, I would agree with Chris that it's hype and it could die down. So just be careful. Don't rush into this kind of stuff when it's being hyped up and propped up.
I think any price movement in Tesla is amplified by the amount of margin and the amount of options that trade around it. So it's always going to be 5 or 10% over what it should be. But I don't think he's wrong by giving it that multiple just on the AI portion of it. If a company came out,
even if it makes no money yet from that portion.
But what he's saying is that they'll eventually be able to make money this over 12
it's nowhere near.
You understand? The curve happens, we understand S curves. It happens very quickly. And so 12 to 18 months, a lot can happen in 12 to 18 months. And considering how NVIDIA has really brought AI mainstream, I can't imagine that we're still at around these levels of AI incorporation in companies in 12 to 18 months. I mean, if you just
I want to point out NVIDIA's profits
like 6
went
quarters,
up. NVIDIA's profits really did double.
Mm-hmm.
So they've sold what they said they were going to sell.
That's a good point.
That's the difference.
Right, but his idea
NVIDIA is actually not overpriced, in my opinion, if they keep selling the way they're selling right now. Tesla is not selling SaaS businesses right now. They're not selling robotaxi really right now.
I think you're missing the point.
I'm not missing anything.
I think you're missing the point, because if they sold that many GPUs to companies, what are they going to do? They're not just going to sit on the shelf. They're going to use those GPUs to do things. And what are they going to do? They're going to use those GPUs to increase their revenues using AI. So NVIDIA sales,
doesn't mean it happens in
let me
12 months.
finish my point.
Okay.
But NVIDIA selling these devices enables other companies to do more with less and to be able to increase their productivity, right? And if Tesla is now saying that this is where we want to be in 12 to 18 months or whatever his target was at this point next year in terms of compute power, and he's telling you what they can do with the current existing compute power, it's just a matter of just running the numbers just based on what the estimates are. So I do think that in 12 to 18 months, they could be licensing this stuff out to other people.
So Carlos, me and you are on the same team, by the way, because we're both, I think, number one position is Tesla, correct?
Yeah, it
Well,
fluctuates.
it is
Yeah.
for me. Number one position is Tesla for me. But once again, Adam Jonas is an analyst who focuses 12 months out. This is my only point in this. So he's not thinking about all of that, in a year, a tiny little bit of profits, in 2 years, a bit more. He's literally saying it's a SaaS business in 12 months. Read the report. I started reading it. I'm like, okay, 12 to 18 months. That's his price target based on those two things, Robotaxi and SaaS. That's the whole report.
I think that we could see our first Robotaxi fare by end of next
So
year.
we're gonna bring in $20. That first.
If they made $1 on a Robotaxi, if they made $1 on a Robotaxi
it
fare,
would explode. It would
Uber and Lyft stock tanks the next day. They get a multiple. Tesla gets a multiple the next day because now you understand what the
Well,
end
no.
game-
In that case, the first Robotaxi, what you're right about, the first Robotaxi would basically validate the fact that Tesla will have Robotaxis, and that will obviously shoot Tesla to the moon just based on that alone. Absolutely, 100%. And that's what we're all waiting for.
There was a great post. Maybe we ended with this, and I actually tell me because you guys can see this. You see this?
One
Somebody,
sec.
can you share this?
Yeah.
This was Dave Lee. Did you guys see this? Did you guys see this?
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Dave Lee caught this frame. There was a video. They were doing a video on Franz, and in the video, as part of B-roll, they showed this image of him when he was designing. It was part of B-roll, and he's saying, did CBS inadvertently just share a photo of Tesla's upcoming Robotaxi? A few hours ago, they released a segment called Walter Isaacson on the volatile Elon Musk. They shared a wood model of a small vehicle in the left corner. They showed something even more substantial, which was the image of a Cybertruck inspired small vehicle, likely an early Robotaxi design. And then he gives you the timestamp as to where it appears. But here you can see what could be the concept for a Tesla Robotaxi. You see how they've got luggage in the back. It's a 2-seater, and you can zoom in over here a little bit, and you can see it's a kind of a blurry image of what that vehicle would be based on Cybertruck design. And I tweeted this out because we talked about this on a Finance Junkies episode. When you look at what was covered, it looked like that machine was folded, not curved, and it was more based on Cybertruck design. So they've been working on this thing for years. And what I'm scared, and maybe I'm giving Jonas too much credit, but when you think about where Tesla's going to be in 12 to 18 months, Cybertruck's already going to be out. We're going to know whether it's a hit or not. They're also going to have announced another Gigafactory. Giga Mexico.
He didn't talk about those.
No, but I'm saying when you just think about it, maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but these are things that we know we're going to know about Tesla in 12 to 18 months.
So he might be right on the price target based on nothing that he said.
That was my first point, is that he might be wrong how he's getting there, but he could still be right on the end game.
Fine, as long as it gets to 400, what do I care how it gets there?
We're going to know whether Cybertruck's a hit or not. We're going to know what actual sales are quarter over quarter. They're going to have shown us this next generation vehicle. We're going to see this. Giga Mexico should be up and running, ramping. They should have announced another. They would have announced another Gigafactory, and the full FSD should be available. That's a lot. That's a big change for a company we already consider somewhat mature, and that's just in the next 12 to 18 months. So maybe the price target's even too low then. Who knows?
It could be because look, some of these price targets by Kathy Wood and stuff. What are they? They're $3,000. So $400 is nothing.
Well, she sounded like an idiot when she was saying 7,000 in 2019, but it actually reached those numbers. If you undo the splits, we actually are just to take whatever stock price today and multiply it by 15. That's what it was.
Yeah.
What's the stock price?
I think
now?
we're at 3. We're at over 3,000 for sure.
Real quick, let me calculate. So we're at 273 times 15. So the actual stock price of Tesla based on 2019 levels is $4,095.
There you go. Boom. $4,000.
So she wasn't all that crazy.
Chris,
what I think is kind of what's kind of crazy is just seeing how much open interest there actually is on the Tesla options for 2026, the leaps. Yeah. Dude, some of the people were paying crazy amounts of premium. I mean, so Adam Jonas's target is what, 500, right?
400. Yeah.
400. There's people that are paying, like, look at this, 133 contracts at 420. And they paid fucking almost like $60, like between 56 and like 60. Not a share, like for 100. Yeah, I mean,
you know what? I might sell a contract to one of these people.
Yeah, this is nuts, because this means that you would need the price to be 480 to break even. What? And this is in 2 years. Okay, so I don't know, man. That would
be in Tesla's close to $4 trillion by then, right? No.
No.
480 is
No, no,
1.5 trillion, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but just
Well,
remember,
for-
Chris. To be fair, if any run on Tesla, those contracts explode in price, and they can sell out way before the 2 years. So
Yeah.
that could
No, the
actually happen too.
problem is days like this when things run up, people overpay for these options. And then what happens is when things come down, you'll see those same options trading at like 20 literally it'll be like a 20% move to the
Yeah.
downside.
Yeah.
You know, and then be like, wait a second, what the hell did I just buy? Because so this is how some of these, I don't want to call it Tesla meme stock. I
Well,
feel
it's
bad
the
calling it
FOMO.
Tesla.
It's the FOMO on both ends.
Yeah.
They feel like it's going to run
So-
away from them, or they feel like it still has more to fall. It's amplified because of that.
The thing is, Chris, I know you have no Tesla right now. You have no Tesla shares, right? Is that correct?
No.
Just holding. complete
So the
or-
thing is, like, if I was in your position, it's the same position I consider Bitcoin. If I don't have any Bitcoin, if I don't have any Tesla, I'm actually not invested in the future of the future. Forget about anything, just the future of America, the future. That this is integral to our future. That's the way it's going to work out with EVs and solar. That's why I would feel extremely nervous not having any shares. And I think that FOMO comes in, especially if you don't have a stake. Those people see this kind of stuff. They've been waiting for the price to slip to $200, $150, and then it's not coming immediately. They just jump right in as soon as they hear any positive news because they're afraid they're going to miss it completely. So
Yeah.
wrong on both ends, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's the same thing that happened with Nvidia too. Like so many people right now, you know, they saw Nvidia go up, and so now everyone's like just dumping on the calls. Like the time to be buying these options is not when there's, you know, optimism
there's
in the market.
news.
It's
Yeah.
when there's news and there's fear. Fear is the best time to pick things up.
That's interesting. He
Especially
says
when
that.
it leaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. You have to buy when there's fear. You know.
Yeah.
Or blood in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know that concept. Everyone says it like, oh, you should buy things when everyone is dumping. But when things are dumping, no one seems to fucking buy. Like that's the part that I never get, you know, but whatever.
I put a tweet
Happens.
out today. I'm not going to share, but Amazon's now at 140 and change. And
Yeah.
at least I was talking about it. I know Chris came in, but
Yeah.
I looked at my purchase prices. They're between 85 and 100 when it dumped 6, 7, 8
Yep.
months ago. I forgot exactly when. And even in our Discord, I was saying, like, guys, Amazon, Google, they're really cheap. Like, I know you're looking for the next 10x, but this is easy money. Everybody's like, oh, where's Google's failing? Bard is dead. This and this and that. It's
Yeah.
like just buy quality when it tanks, and that's it.
Yep.
At least a certain part of your portfolio.
Seldom does quality tank 30, 40, and in Meta's case,
50%.
70.
Yeah.
70. It was down at 70% from its all-time highs at
That's
one
crazy.
point.
Yeah.
With fucking cash flow still coming in like there was no tomorrow. So whenever you see quality companies take a significant hit, that should be your like, especially if it goes beyond a 30% retracement, that should just be like clued in. Like, wait, I need, even if you are completely bearish, to start a position and DCA your way down so that this way, when the eventual run up happens, because these companies
It
have
sounds like me in this segment. I like this. I like this,
this
Chris.
is it. They just have so much option. They just have so much optionality in terms of cash flow. Because what happens is when the stock market punishes them, and everyone is beholden to shareholders, what ends up happening is whatever business segments that were leading them into the wrong direction, they all it's almost like they get a parking ticket by the shareholders. And so now it's like, oh shit, I need to correct shit. So basically that's what happened with Meta. Meta was overspending on CapEx and on the metaverse. Shares went down. Zuck said, hey, listen, I need to protect the shareholders. I need to change the business around, make sure that my guys are, my stock is back up to normal. Same thing happened with Amazon. Same thing happened with Google. Everyone's like, hey, maybe all the spending that we did post-COVID, maybe we need to calm down a little bit. And so once the cash flows come back, and I still think right now, Google and Amazon, they still haven't hit their all-time highs yet, by the way. They're still getting there. And all the metrics are in the positive direction. So some people feel like, did I already miss out on the run back up? No, you did not miss out on the run up. It's still
down.
Low. Yep, it's still down. Especially Amazon. Amazon is its all-time highs were like the 180s. I think it gets back there in the next 6 months to a year once people realize that Amazon is generating more money now than ever before, and especially on a cash flow basis because they're not spending money on CapEx as much. Which was their drag the last couple of years. Google is the same thing. Google's investments in AI are going to start to pay off now. All the shit that they were doing for the last 6 years, their operational cash flow is just growing like gangbusters. The question that I have here, and this is the part, where do you guys see Apple in all of this? Because I see people selling off Apple and buying Google.
I think that's a good conversation, but it's got to be for another time. We should talk about Apple because that's it's crazy what's happening to them right now. But I got to go pick up the kid. So if you guys want to keep going, I got the wife right here. She's like, come on.
All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. This was awesome. Thank you everybody for joining. We'll discuss more. We got inflation, CPI on Wednesday, so we'll preview that tomorrow.
Enjoy the cruise, Chris. Have a great press.
Yeah, definitely. I'll see you guys tomorrow and tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. Actually, all night.
He's like, I'll be in Bahamas.
All right, man. Have fun.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.